You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K25. It's myself, Mooncey, alongside me as always, Mr. BJ Armstrong. How you doing, sir?
Real name, no gimmicks.
Hey, we back.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Welcome back. Great day today. More basketball. Your C's. How did we do last night as far as picking the teams? Every time I looked up, I think I said, I
We
don't think
got
I
it.
picked that team.
We got it horribly wrong. We picked the Celtics who lost. We picked the Hawks who lost. We picked the Sixers who lost. We picked the Cavs who blew out the Lakers. We picked the Raptors who lost. We picked the Miami Heat who lost. We picked the Grizzlies who lost. We picked the Thunder who won. And then Pelicans Warriors, we were having a conversation of Golden State won that game. So the record now moves to 7-2.
Who won that? Who ended up winning that game?
The Warriors.
Oh, the
We
Warriors.
literally said we were going to
Wow.
watch that game and then come back today and talk about it.
You know,
And then we
I
both picked the Clippers and Portland won. So we got, by the way, if you guys are using these predictions to place your bets, after last night, I don't know if that's still a good idea.
yeah, the Bulls won too. If I,
I just think that at this stage of the season, that it's impossible to predict anything. Like
Absolutely.
the first week or two of the season, like I just think things are just impossible to predict, right? But what I
Yeah.
do want to start with is we need to come up with a plan to get Kyle Kuzma out of Washington because they
Oh,
let the young guys ball out last night and they played a fantastic game. They had a Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington starting in the guard positions with Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, and Alexander Sarr, and they looked really good. I mentioned this a couple times on the show already, and the rest of the world is catching on
did they
now.
look really good or did Atlanta look really bad? Which one is
The Wizards looked way better than I
it?
expect the Wizards to look. That's how I'm
Okay.
going to say. Not really good, like a really good team, but for the standard of the Washington Wizards, they far surpassed that standard for me last night. I've said this a few times before, and now the rest of the world's going to catch on. Bilal Coulibaly, 27 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, a block, and an assist. And what he does on a defensive end does not get spoken about enough. And then Jonas Valanciunas comes off the bench to give them a nice 22, and Corey Kispert gives them 16 as well. So, things are looking up for the Wizards. They've got a nice little young core that has taken Alexander Sarr some time to get comfortable in this league. And credit to Jordan Poole, running that point. He's getting his teammates involved and stuff rather than just chucking shots, which people expect him to do. So I just wanted to start off by talking about them. But I did manage to score 17 points for the Hawks last night, BJ.
Yes,
I
yes,
was
you
in the
did.
starting lineup, which
Yes,
was
you
which was
did.
pretty good. Which was pretty good. Trey Young with another 35 and 15 game. He's putting up crazy stats, but they don't count in a loss. You promised me, BJ. You promised me yesterday that Andre Drummond of all people would have 20 and 20. He finished with 9 and 11 as the Sixers lost again, and the
How
Detroit
about how about
Pistons picked
how
up a
about
rare
that first
win.
one? Yeah,
A rare win.
how about that? How about that?
Um,
How about it?
fair play, fair play.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
the
I
uh,
mean,
the Tobias Harris revenge game. Because all the fans in Philly hate him and they boo him, and
no, that's not true.
that
No,
is
that's not
true.
that.
That
That
is
is not
true.
true. That is not
Ask
true.
any Sixers fan in the world about Tobias
Well,
Harris, and I promise they don't say anything positive.
maybe I just happen to have spoken to all the fans that are Tobias Harris fans. Now,
Yes, yes, all five of them.
I was just in Philly recently. It's first of all, it's not true. There
Okay,
is there.
if you're a Sixers fan, please do tweet BJ and let us know your
Yeah,
thoughts
that,
on
that
Tobias
that's
Harris.
fine. But I happen to know the Harris family, not just him. I happen to know the Harris family. I happen to have followed this young man's career, and he is a true professional.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he's
a
a
really
true
nice
professional.
guy. Really nice guy.
He's a great guy. He's not a really nice guy. He's a great guy. He's a true professional. Like every stop in his career, it's been marked with professionalism. Now, there was this thought in Philadelphia that came about, and let's address it. He gets paid, and I'm pro for
Go get your
whatever you do,
money.
and
Go get your money.
whatever you do, I'm all about your business. Yeah, get whatever the market says you can get, more power to you. He has done excellent over his career. Okay? Excellent. Not just okay. He has been excellent on the court, and he's maximized his career as far as how it's been managed and what he's been able to do. If you remember correctly, Mo, if you remember or if you recall, there was a time where Jimmy Butler was in
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Yep. And there's the clip of when Jimmy Butler went to the Heat and then they play the Sixers and the Heat win and he goes down the tunnel screaming, "You picked Tobias Harris over me." And that was the viral clip of Jimmy Butler.
And then somehow, some way, there's always an excuse for why you don't win. Whatever the case may be. And the narrative was, well, he's getting paid the max or somewhere around there. And suddenly now, every game in which he didn't put up those level of numbers, then it became his fault. Okay. So let me get this correct. So you had Joel Embiid, you had Tyrese Maxey, who, if anyone would have listened to the show, I said, quote, even when James Harden and those guys were on the team, I said, the best player has to be Tyrese Maxey, especially on the perimeter. I said it. You heard it. I know it wasn't one of those things where people were saying, wait a minute, Tyrese Maxey. I said, wait a minute. No disrespect to any James Harden. They have to play at a much faster pace. You have to allow Tyrese Maxey to utilize his speed and quickness. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. But that's another discussion. I just give my opinion. I'm not trying to be right. I'm just telling you what I see. And then you have a player who's making the max, who's like the fourth option. I don't know what else to expect. I didn't hear him complaining. I didn't hear him load managing. I didn't hear him doing anything other than going out and doing his job. Now, we can say whatever you want to say, and I get it. It's one of those things, but I can tell you this. I've never met a coach who said they didn't enjoy coaching him. He is a terrific teammate, and he shows up and plays. Now he goes from that team, and now he's going up and showing up. Now he's showing up and playing in Detroit. So if you don't like someone because they're a professional, okay, I get that. That comes with the territory. But in a world now where, take for instance, right now in Philly, they just got fined because
they lied. They were lying about Embiid's injury status.
And I don't understand this. You know what I mean? And I'm not here to, but I cannot allow someone when that's not true. This young man is a pro. Now we can say, hey, if they write me or write anyone and say, hey, I don't prefer his game, I can respect that. Hey, you don't like someone's game. You would prefer someone who plays a different style. But to say that about him, no, he is a pro. He's a pro's pro. When you say professional, you have to say Tobias Harris. He is a pro. Tobias Harris could play for me anytime. Why? Because, Mo, what's my first rule for having a job? Show up.
Mm-hmm.
Mo, I didn't say play well. I didn't say you have to average 30. I said first, let's just show up. Who's going to show up every day at practice? Well, I can tell you this. Tobias Harris he's in that bucket. And there isn't a scout, there isn't a coach, there isn't an executive, there isn't a owner, there isn't a player who doesn't respect that. So I'm a little passionate about that. Know me. And the last thing I'll say, Mo, and then I'll turn it over to you. I love to talk about what's on the court. Tobias Harris is always there. There are other things happening off the court which garnish way more attention than what I like to discuss, which is fine. That's the world we live in. But for 82 games, Mo, Tobias Harris is going to be there for the majority of them, if not all of them. So that, my friend, is my Tobias. So Tobias Harris, he was always one of my favorite players. Now he's definitely my favorite player
That's
because
crazy. He's not your favorite
yeah,
player.
yeah,
He's
he
not your
is
favorite
because
player.
he shows up, Mo. He shows up. Anyone who shows up, anyone
Okay,
who shows
okay.
up.
So here's what Tobias Harris, great guy. We established this professional. All these other things that you said about him are true.
Yes.
The reason why I think a lot of Sixers fans, and I think this is what I find really interesting about the NBA, is I often think about this. If the salaries of the players was not public information, how much would the fan perception of players change?
That comes with the
Because
territory. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
That's
because I think the criticisms that Sixers fans had of Tobias Harris was more due to him earning so much money and not delivering compared to other players who earn that level of money, rather than him himself. Because, okay, cool, he's your fourth option. He doesn't show up in the big games, whatnot, whatnot. If he was on a mid-level contract, no one would be mad at that. But it's because they see him making max money and uphold him to the same standards. But it is whatever. He's in Detroit now. They picked up the win against the Sixers. The Sixers really need Embiid back today. The news is that he's scrimmaging 5-on-5 in practice. I don't care at this point, to be honest. The Sixers lost. The Celtics also lost in a thrilling game. Did you watch that one? The Indiana Pacers were up like 24 in the fourth quarter.
I watched it. I turned it off. Came back.
Well,
Then all of a sudden I came back in the fourth quarter.
this is the thing.
Then,
This is the thing, BJ. Like, I'm like, I just keep myself to myself. I don't get a lot of texts. But last night my phone was blowing up. Because anytime the Celtics are losing, my phone decides to blow up. And everyone wants to call me. Everyone wants to say,
I didn't call you last night.
No, no, no,
I
no.
didn't
But
call
everyone
you
else,
last
but
night.
everyone else did.
Okay.
Everyone
Okay.
else did. Everyone else did. You know what I mean? So I was watching the game, and one thing really stood out to me. Okay. Most coaches, you're down 20 points or whatever it is on the road, random Wednesday night, early in the season. We saw this with the Milwaukee Bucks and Brooklyn Nets. They were down 18. They pulled their stars. So on to the next one. Joe Mazzulla stuck with his stars. Stuck with Tatum and Brown and Derek White. They came back in a thrilling game to go to overtime. Jason Tatum hits the dagger. Derek White blocks Tyrese Halliburton. They go to overtime. Credit to Pascal Siakam hitting a huge three to win the game for the Indiana Pacers. You can't win every game. But I love the fact that the Celtics didn't give up and throw in the towel in this matchup. And Peyton Pritchard and Neemias Queta came in and gave them great minutes down the stretch of that game. And I had fun watching it. I'm not mad. You can't win it. No team's going to go 82-0. If that's the kind of game you lose, fair enough. On to the next
Okay. Sounds like a I don't know. Okay, I don't know what to say about that, but
one. Well, this is the thing, BJ. You don't have TikTok, so you wouldn't have seen the video I made. When we were playing the Pistons and we were losing to the Pistons at the time, I made a TikTok and I just said, look, once you win that championship, the regular season just doesn't move you. You know, like if this was a year ago,
that's not
I would be
that's not true, Mo. That's
no,
not
no,
true.
no, no,
Don't
no,
fall
no,
in
no,
don't
no,
fall
no,
into that trap, Mo.
no, no,
Don't
no.
do not
I'm speaking as a fan. I'm speaking as a fan
Yes,
here. I'm
yes.
speaking as
But
a
I
fan.
can tell you you don't
No, not as a player.
anyone
Not as a player. I'm speaking
yeah.
as a fan watching. So
Okay.
if this was a year ago, I would have come to the podcast today and I would be miserable. I'd be like, oh, we lost against against Pacers in overtime. I'd be mad. Now we won the championship. I'm like, yeah, whatever. We lost on to the next one. You see the difference as a fan enjoying the game? I enjoy the fact that we took it to overtime and it was a competitive game down the stretch. That's it. I'm not worried.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? As a player, now obviously that's a different story. But from a fan perspective of watching your team, once you've won a championship, the regular season is not as stressful as it was. Remember last year, I was here stressed out every day. Every time we'd throw away a lead, every time we'd lose a game, I was stressed out all the time. Now I'm just like, cool, whatever.
Well, somehow, some way, all of us, and I say all of us in our basketball community, there's a prevailing, there's these thoughts that get out in the ether, if you will. And for whatever reason, I have no idea, we devalue the regular season and we justify it. Oh, well, we won last year, so I don't have to be concerned this year.
No, it's not
And-
concerned. It's I'm just not stressed.
yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
not
I'm
stressed.
okay. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
okay. And then, if I won a chip last year, suddenly I've made it, and now I don't have to, I don't have to win again because I've already done it. Everyone wants to, there's like a validation stamp that everyone's looking for. What I did yesterday predicts on what you should do in the future, but no one wants to be present in the moment right now. Whatever the Celtics did last year, that's last year. If it's one thing that I learned very quickly in this league is no one cares what you did last year. No one cares. Like you're not out there playing, well, this team won last year, so I got to prove something today. Well, that was last year. That was a last game. You had different teammates probably. Some of the players have different on a different team. You have a different coach. Some have, different ownership now or whatever the case may be. It's every year provides a new challenge. If you're working on your game, like you said you are, your game should be different. You've added something new to your particular game. Jason Tatum, for instance, has been a notorious slow starter. Well, this year, Mo, something clicked that he brought out because this year, Mo, he's in the MVP voting in the first 4 or 5 games with the numbers he's put up.
Yeah.
Now, when you play an 82 game schedule, the reason it's of value to the team, the executives, and your fan base, because this allows you to get a snapshot of what that team is going to be like once the playoffs begin. And we have this theme, Mo, that we call basketball integrity. It's impossible, not impossible. There's been a few teams that have actually tried to do it and came very close to going 82-0. There's been a few teams,
Just a couple.
but it's not impossible to want to win 82 games. And that's the spirit that I'm looking for.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
They
That's
stayed
now,
competitive the whole way through, even when they were
now,
down big.
now, when you see your team give up at any moment, or you see a player give up at any moment during the course of the season, for whatever the case may be, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that that same quality is going to show up and it's going to poke its head out at some other point during the course of the season. Hopefully, it doesn't happen in the most critical moments, which whatever weakness you have in your team or your game, it's going to show up in the playoffs. Why? Because of the competitive spirit and the environment in which you're playing in. What I was pleased about watching the Celtics was that under no circumstances is Coach Mazzulla going to allow them. The team has taken on the responsibility. They have a championship caliber mentality. Watching Jason Tatum and the way he handled that situation this summer, watching the quotes of Jaylen Brown this summer, yeah, they won last year, but they got a chip, and it's a big chip on their shoulder. Now, the most impressive thing about last night, Mo, yeah, they lost the game. They probably deserve to lose that game. Sometimes, Mo, you stick around because you want to, you give yourself a chance. You don't play well, which you don't play well every night, but you find a way. I love the fact that they did this on the road. I love the fact they did it when they had every opportunity to say, this game is over. Let's move on to the next one. And no one would have said a word. You know what they did, Mo? They dug deep. And they said, no, that's not the Celtics way. Everyone talks about culture, all those things. Well, you hear these people, well, we're building culture here. We're finding guys who we can build, all this stuff they say. Well, those guys dug deep last night. They went above and beyond and almost came out and won that game. And there was no way they deserved to win that game, by the way. That to me says everything I need to know about the Celtics. So
Yeah.
I'm moving on from the
There we go.
Celtics.
There we go.
Because I'm going to find out what the other 29 teams are doing because the Celtics have already showed me they're coming to try to win every game. And that's
Yeah.
what you're looking for. So good for the Celtics. Your C's have displayed, they were the first team to show me what Coach Chuck Daly used to always say. you find out everything about your team in a loss. Everyone else is trying to go 35-0. And he would always say, you know what? Be careful, young man, because you're never as good as they say you are, and you're never as bad as they say you are. But when you keep getting all those congratulation taps on the back for winning, never trust happiness.
That's a fact. That's
That's
a
a
fact.
fact.
But I'll tell you where they are pretty happy in Cleveland, where they're still undefeated, and they ruined LeBron and Bronny's homecoming with a huge win last night. Here's an interesting stat for you: the Cleveland Cavaliers scored 130 points in regulation just 3 times in the regular season last year. They've scored 130 or more points in regulation 3 times already this season. Kenny Atkinson's new offense is doing fantastic things. Jarrett Allen, I think, has more blocks than missed field goals so far this season. And they absolutely destroyed the LA Lakers, who have started to cool off a bit as, JJ Redick's coaching can't cover up all the flaws in the roster that they've constructed. Donovan Mitchell, 24 points. Jarrett Allen, 20 points. Evan Mobley, 25 points. Just when you get that kind of production there, and then 10 assists from Darius Garland to go along with 12 points. And Donovan Mitchell's passing is looking insane. By the way, he finished with 7 assists. But they're really firing on all cylinders right now in Cleveland. Is this Cleveland team for real? Or is this just part of the early season craziness?
I want to give a shout out to our incredible, I don't even think he's a guest anymore. He's part of the show, Scott Perry, who pointed out and said Evan Mobley was the guy that he was looking out for. So shout out to Scott Perry. Evan Mobley has been great. And one of the reasons he's been great is because he plays the center position on the second unit. And that's the position where he's probably most comfortable. Now, it's really hard, Mo. You pointed out the stats. Jared Allen was 9 for 12. That's 75%. And then Evan Mobley was 12 of 16.
In just 18 minutes of play.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
that's insane efficiency. 25 points, 5 rebounds in 18 minutes on the court.
It's really hard to win a game when the bigs are shooting and anyone is playing that efficient. And Mo, you pointed out, he did that in 18 minutes. Now, I think this Cavalier team, they are playing with the versatility that I think is necessary in today's game. Okay. Because Evan Mobley plays 2 positions. That means he's 4 players every night. He's offense and defensive power. He's an offensive and defensive power forward, which he starts at. Then he's an offensive and defensive center. And on some nights, Mo, if you really want to go big, he has the capability and the skill set to play the 3 position. So when you have a player that allows you this type of versatility, it's really hard to match up because there aren't many players that have the capabilities to do that. So they are versatile. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, they're playing guard positions now. They're not just playing one's the lead guard, the other. I mean, look, I think they had 17 assists, Mo, right?
Combined.
Between them combined last night. That's tremendous from your backcourt. That means they're sharing the basketball. That means they're playing a kind of a flow offense. And right now, Mo, you are seeing them play with a flow. I think they had LeVert, if I remember. He had like double figures last
16.
night coming off the bench. So right now, Mo, they are
times.
playing well. And let's not forget, defensively, with LeVert and not LeVert, I'm sorry, with Mobley and Allen, they have shot blockers.
Well, right now, so far this season, Mobley's been the best defender in the league for me.
Yes.
Bam got 40 piece by Cat last night. Knicks fans, we're not going to go into that, but shout out to you guys getting the win.
I watch him in the summer work out, Evan Mobley, and I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, he's ready. Now, obviously you got to go out and do it, and there's some luck involved. You got to be healthy. You got to, things got to work out. But if he's healthy, he's going to be in that discussion and conversation. He's that level of talent. So congrats to the Cavaliers. And what are they, 5-0 now? Are they 5-0 now?
I think so.
Yeah, they're like 4 or 5-0. So, that this is a great start for them. And I think they're going to be a team that's going to make a little noise there in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Cavs and the OKC Thunder, the only undefeated teams remaining. The OKC Thunder picking up a win against the San Antonio Spurs with another disappointing game from Mr. Wembanyama, BJ. Victor, 1 of 5 from the field, 0 from 3 from 3-point land. Rough night for him. Chet Holmgren, on the other hand,
Yeah.
19. He got going early, 7 of 10 from the field, efficient. I really, we've had this conversation like 3 times already this season, so I don't think we need to go down the whole rabbit hole of it again. But if Victor's playing on the post, they're going to send doubles and triples at him. So he's going to go onto the perimeter and try and shoot from there. I don't like that. You got to be quicker with the reads off the post. You know what I mean? You got to anticipate that double team coming, fire the ball, get it moving. But once again, Jeremy Sohan's leading your team in shot attempts in the game. And I love Jeremy, don't get me wrong, but Wemby's got to get more than 5 looks in 27 minutes.
I'm just going to say it because I'm just going to keep harping on it on what I understand. When you have a great player, you must utilize this player and put them in situations where you're playing to their strength. Victor's strength is his versatility right now. He's not strong enough to just power through people like you see Jokic do or whenever Joel does. He's not built that way. He's not like LeBron where he can just, go through the defense. He's not like, that's not his body type. What is his body type? Well, you got to figure out and move him around a little bit and play to his strength. As he matures, he's still a young player. He's a young kid trying to figure it out. The easiest position to defend has always been the center position. Why? Because the center, we know traditionally where the center was always going to go. He was going to the box. He was going to catch the ball there. And then you can double team him if you so desire. You can come off the dribble. You could come off the catch. You can elect to play one-on-one if you have another big guy. You can front the post. You can sag on the entry pass. There's a lot of ways that over the years, these coaches have figured out how to defend a player who's just playing one position. But when you have a great player, and especially in today's game, the best players in today's game, even more so than yesteryear, which I love it about today's player, is Mo, there's some level of hybrid player. When you take Jokic plays a little bit on the post, but he also plays beyond the 3-point line. And then he plays in the mid post. Then he plays screen roll. He says screen and pop. Then he'll
plays
go
everywhere.
Yes.
He's effective on every they call it BJ,
LeBron James,
yes. 3-level scorer.
Yes. And then then you take LeBron James. He's some kind of hybrid player. He's not like just a scorer. That's not him. He's not just a facilitator. He's not just a guy who shoots on the perimeter. He does a little bit of everything. Steph Curry does a little bit of everything. Kevin Durant does a little. Joel Embiid when he plays, a little bit of everything. Shea Alexander, he's not just a point guard. He's incorporated the 3-ball. So we know now, Mo, that the best players are some form of hybrid, And now that I think about it, Magic Johnson was a hybrid. Michael Jordan was a hybrid. Larry Bird was a hybrid. Scottie Pippen, hybrid. Akeem Olajuwon, hybrid. You have to be able to utilize the entire space on the floor to create havoc for the other team so that they always have to adjust to your talent. That's called imposing your will. If I just put this kid, Victor Wembanyama, at the center position, I don't think that's what it is, Mo. I don't think. Matter of fact, I don't think. I know that's not what it is. Okay? So maybe maybe this is what Victor wants, which is fine. I don't know. I'm not criticizing it. But what I do know, Mo, when I watched him in the summer, he was playing next to Rudy Gobert, and then they would put him over at the 5 when Rudy would come out of the game. And then he would go. So, Mo, I don't understand why that's hard to see when you have a player. Mo, the kid has incredible handles at 7'4" or 7'5", whatever he is. Why aren't we seeing him on the perimeter and then go to the post and
create
the
seeing him on the
perimeter
too much shooting those threes?
Mo, I'm saying on the perimeter, I'm not saying the perimeter 5 out. I want him on the perimeter when he has an advantage. Last night I saw him being guarded by what's the kid that was at Chicago?
Alex Caruso,
Caruso. Wait a minute. Hold on. So let me get this
one
right.
of the
He's being
best
guarded
perimeter
by Alex
defenders in the
Caruso.
NBA.
Yeah, like Mo, if that is then the other night I see him being guarded by Dylan Brooks. So that's not advantage. That's not advantage Victor.
Yeah,
According to me, that's not the advantage
yeah,
I'm looking
yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah.
Always put him in a situation where he has the advantage, and then you can impose your will on the game.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's just what I see.
Everyone got so carried away with how great Victor is in his rookie season. I think Chet Holmgren almost didn't quite get the love that he deserved for just how great he is as well, because he's playing fantastic basketball for OKC, right? And we've talked about how he's got stronger this season, so on and so forth. Does this do you look at this situation though, and it kind of have shades of Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett, both great players, but one of them happened to be in a team that fit them perfectly and had great quality around them, and one of them was with an organization that didn't have the right pieces around them.
I don't really buy into that philosophy or way of thinking. Every player has his strengths and weaknesses. Okay. Kevin Garnett was a Hall of Fame level talent. No, let's not make no doubt about that. Like, so then we say, well, they don't have the right pieces around them. Wait a minute, time out. Hold on. I'm not buying that. Like, I'm not buying you don't have the right pieces. Okay. When you win in this league, three things must occur. You must defend, you must rebound, and you must share the basketball. Okay. Kevin Garnett did that at an elite level. However, Kevin Garnett, if you're going to win the game with Kevin Garnett was not a guy that you can just throw the ball to and say, go get me a bucket. That wasn't his game. That wasn't his, his game wasn't that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when Kevin Garnett could play off the ball and do all the intangibles, and they just throw the ball to Paul Pierce, and he did that. Now you said you got the pieces. Wait a minute. So early in Kevin Garnett's career, because of his talent, he was the number one option on the offensive end. There aren't many players, Mo, that can hold that ball and play in the last 4 minutes. There's maybe only 4 or 5 at any given moment in the entire NBA that can actually score in the last 4 minutes of a game against any defense. Paul Pierce was one of those players. Now, Kevin Garnett, you look at his numbers. He was awesome in Minnesota. He was awesome in Boston. The difference was in the last 4 minutes of the game, was there any doubt where the ball was going when it was in Boston? Was it any doubt? Okay. That was the only difference. And sometime, Mo, he was just that good. There was a reason he got drafted in the lottery. There was a reason, okay, that he went there. Also, if there's a part of Tim Duncan's game that he had a very mature game when he came into the league. One player came straight out of high school. The other player went 4 years of college.
Yeah.
Now, that's not management's fault. All right? Let's not blame management for that. It's going to take time to mature and figure out who you are and what you're going to become. Kevin Garnett was one of the greatest competitors to play in the league, regardless of position. However, no player is perfect. And if there's anything you can nitpick with Kevin Garnett is to say, Kevin Garnett was not a guy like Tim Duncan where you could just throw the ball to him on the post and say, go get me a bucket. Could he do it? Yeah, he could do it. But he wasn't like Tim Duncan doing it. Some of those players, Mo, have a gift. Most of these players have a gift. Whatever position, I don't even care if you're the 12th guy on the team, you have something. That's why you're in the NBA. Tim Duncan, you've heard me say, I think he's one of the top 5 players to ever play. Certainly, you can make that argument with him. So, when you put Kevin Garnett offensively in a situation where he's not the primary scorer and you just allow him to roam, and do what he was able to do there in Boston, wow. The difference between him and Kevin and Tim Duncan is just one aspect of their game. But defensively, you can argue they were the same. Rebounding, you can argue they were same. Kevin Garnett might have been a little bit more of an athlete than Tim Duncan, but certainly they can make the same plays. They can certainly block the same amount of shots. They certainly, I think both of them were Defensive Player of the Year, where I know Tim Duncan was. So,
Yep.
but Tim Duncan just also had one skill set that was above and beyond probably anyone else. The big fella could play from the post. The big fella could play from the mid post. The big fella could play in the screen role. And offensively, he was just as good as any player. Any player. You can put him offensively against any big that's ever played the game. And you can't say that about many. So that to me was the difference. I mean, and if that is the difference, so be it. But certainly Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan, I mean, wow. I mean, you're talking about two phenomenal players.
Elsewhere across the league last night, the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls picked up surprise wins yet again. They're just surprising teams at this point.
Yeah.
We'll see how long this lasts.
Let's see. But I'm telling you, Mo, the guard play of Giddey. I'm telling you,
he was hitting threes last night as well. I was in shock.
I was at an event with Billy Donovan last year in the summer. Well, not last year, in this past summer. I go to all the coaches because I love to hear the coaches talk about their teams. I love to hear the it's kind of like a unified thought of like how they think the game is going to be played this year, right?
Yeah.
And I purposely stopped and watched his speech on offense and where he think the game is going and all that. Mo, you would enjoy it. You should come to it next year. I do it every year. And Billy Donovan had some unique things that he was talking about what he's going to do with the bigger guards, because the bigger guards can pass over the defense and the things he was going to do. So to watch this and watch it play itself out, it's not an accident. These guys are really good, Mo. These coaches are really good. So, I've been telling you this. I think Giddey he's a unique player and he knows how to play. Now, I know everyone's talking about his shooting and all that, but I'm not concerned about that. He's a bigger guard. He can play. And what he does well, Mo, that no one talks about is he passes the ball ahead. So I think I think they may have something. They may have found something here with him at the point guard position.
The Pelicans lost again to the Warriors. I think the standout takeaway from that is Draymond Green is still one of the best defenders in the world. But let's look ahead to tonight, B. There's a few games on the schedule tonight, and let's see if tonight's predictions go better than last night's. We've got the Bucks and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies just lost to Brooklyn last night. Do you think they bounce back against what has looked like an awful Bucks team so far this season?
I don't know what's going on in the NBA, but I'm going to say the Bucks, but that means the Grizzlies probably going to win.
I'm going to say the Grizzlies.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Grizzlies because I don't know how that backcourt's going to guard Ja Morant. I got Ja Morant going for 30 at least.
Okay.
The Rockets and the Mavs.
I'm going to go Rockets.
That's a good game.
Yeah, that's at least on paper. It sounds like a good game. I'm going to say the Rockets. I don't know why I'm saying the Rockets, but I'll just say the Rockets.
I'm going with the Mavericks.
Okay.
If Luka's not injured, because he picked up a little injury in that last game, but I'm gonna go with the Mavs. The Spurs and the Jazz.
Spurs.
Yeah. Bouncing back after a loss last night.
Yeah, I'm going to go Spurs. I'm going to go Spurs.
The Jazz are 0-4. I have to go Spurs. Suns and Clippers.
Where's that game at? Clippers?
LA. Yeah, Inuit Dome. I'm going with the Suns.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Suns.
Because they lost last time they were there. So they
the Clippers lost last night, didn't they?
To Portland. To Portland.
Why do you say it like that, bro?
Because Portland stink.
They do not stink.
They absolutely stink. The Portland Trailblazers stink.
They do not stink.
Okay, tell me what's good about them.
Well, Jeremy Grant is really good.
And they're going to try to trade him during the season. So tell me what else.
The kid Simons is really good.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah. What's the kid they just got from Washington?
Avdia.
Uh, Abdia. Yes, I like that kid.
I don't.
And I love bigs. I love Aiton and I love Klingum on their team too. I love both of their big guys.
Klingon shows promise. Ian, I have questions over his
What did he have?
motor.
Like he had like I know he had a double double. What do you have?
Who? Klingon or
No,
Aiden?
no, Aiton.
15 and 12.
Oh, come on. You're getting 15 and 12. Come on from the big. I get
And he
I
he he also gave up 30 points to Norman Powell. Um
Aiden gave up.
if
Aiden did.
you watch DeAndre and try and defend a basket.
I love him. I
Next time
like
the
the guy.
Blazers play, just watch his positioning and how he contests shots. And I don't know why he's not doing it like he did previously when he was earlier on in his career when Phoenix made it
How
around to
about
the
this? They have
final.
a
But
different they have a different defensive philosophy. Like sometimes, Mo,
yeah, it's
every coach doesn't coach the same way, Mo. Like you can't just say that. Like these are the thing. If the coaches are asking him to defend one way, and the coach and I think it was Monty Williams asked him to defend it one way. I mean, maybe Mo. Sometimes that's why people make trades during the year. We have a different system or different philosophy than another. So, but I
maybe.
think he's a good player. I mean, Zubac has been crushing it. What did
Yep. He
Zubac do
he only
last
had
night?
6 points last night.
That's what I'm saying. I like this guy. I like Aiden. I know he's a number one pick and da 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 da. But you know what? I think he's a really good player. Um, but it was that's a I think Portland is a good team. I really do. I like their players. Now
Where,
they're
where,
not
where do
playing
you
as a
think
good
they'll
team.
finish? Where do you think they'll finish this season in the West?
I think they'll be in the bottom half. I think they'll be in the bottom half. And the reason I think they'll be in the bottom half is not because they don't have good players. It's because they don't have they need that one player that is going to give them an identity on both sides of the
Well, it was
floor.
supposed to be Scoot Henderson.
And Scoot Henderson is developing into that player. And I think they're bringing him along.
It's tough coming out of that G League in that team. That's tough.
Well, the toughest position to learn in this league is the lead guard position. That's the toughest position. Why? Because you have to learn how to pass, you have to learn how to shoot, and you got to defend those other guards. You got to learn how to defend De'Aaron Fox. You got to learn how to defend John Morant. You got to learn how to defend Steph Curry. And then you have to learn how to score so that you can keep them honest. So Scoot Henderson, last year they try to throw him out there a little bit. And there's a difference between doing it as a starter and doing it as a guy that's coming off the bench. And I think they took a step back with him this year. And he's played well. I've watched him play a couple of times coming off the bench. And I think at some point during the year, as he improves with that one aspect, some people, John Morant, for instance, he did it on day one. We've seen other players, they just have a knack for that. But most players, you got to learn how to do it. I like Scoot Henderson. I think he has a chance to be a really good player in this league. He has a great size. Mo, I don't know how much you've watched him. He has really
Yeah.
good size at the lead guard position. And I think as he plays better, the team will play better. But right now, Mo, they don't have a facilitator. I don't think Simons by
He's a
trade
scorer.
is, yeah, he's a scorer. I don't think he's a passer.
He's
And
a
that's no
bucket
knock.
getter.
Yeah, but I think Scoot has the ability to pass and be a facilitator for that team.
All right. Well, that's another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast. Make sure you subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast from. And BJ and I will be back tomorrow for another episode. Appreciate you
Another
guys
one.
checking in. Another one. That's right. And until next time, get buckets.